Area and division directors, welcome. Have you thought of a location to hold your contest yet? Well, we're going to help you. We're going to help you out today. We're having a little fireside chat, and that's what we're calling it, of some pros and cons about various things. You don't need to follow our directions, but we're hoping we've given you some ideas. Now, you may have to be creative or you brought in your search after this, but this will help you set up some boundaries or guidelines in your search. Got some great ideas. And Amanda, what's a really good idea to start with?
The first one that comes to mind is using the club's meeting spaces. I really think about the clubs that have larger members because they would obviously have larger spaces, but you may have clubs with smaller membership that also have those large spaces available to them.
Any problems with that, maybe?
Could be wrong. I've seen one that had large membership in a very small room. Vicky, what are your thoughts on using the club meeting space?
I think that's an excellent first resource. We often, especially area directors, division directors, as you're looking for these spaces, this is your chance to really tap into the locations where your clubs are meeting in person, or maybe so many clubs are still online. You may have to extend that search and ask specifically at the club meetings when you're visiting about other locations that might be available to those members. They maybe get together for social gatherings. I know several clubs that get together on a regular basis and they meet at somebody's clubhouse or they meet in a church recreation room or classroom at a church. Or perhaps they are meeting at their own business, but they don't use it for Toastmaster meetings, but they do have a meeting room available. So don't be afraid to ask. And this is something that's really important when you're doing your club visits, that to find those resources. I think that really helps.
The next one I'm going to talk about, because we've got a stay-at-home mom and a retired, but work for those of us that are still in the workforce. Many places have training rooms. I work for the state of Florida. We have many training rooms, maybe a little bit more difficult after hours, as some clubs have found, but training rooms are usually big places open to the public, depending, but that's always a great place to start. Now, of course, you want to get permission first because you are going to be bringing outsiders, but that is something to highly consider. Same type of thing is also large boardrooms or the conference rooms same type of things is be thinking about those. I can think of a few right now that, ooh, that might work and that might work, or I've been in here. So don't take those out.
And
Churches. Okay, go ahead,
before we
Amanda.
move forward, to Sue's point, and I feel like Vicky touched on this as well, we've had several not club, area and division contests that last minute we reached out to the large businesses that sponsor their clubs and said, do you happen to have? And we've had area contests that were hosted in a room other than the standard meeting room. And I used to work at a hospital. We also will rent out some of those spaces for nominal fees, or if you have a member who happens to also work there,
Mhm.
even though it's not where the club is housed, sometimes the member can sponsor you to use those specialized training rooms, auditoriums, board rooms, conference rooms, etc. So they definitely exist out there and they're usually willing to let us in.
I think that's a great point, Amanda, and especially all of your corporate clubs, reach out to them and say, "Hey, would you be willing to sponsor with a meeting location our contests?" And often when you put it in that language, it's like a little positive advertisement for the company as well.
Now, churches, are they a good place or a bad place or a place? What do you, Vicky? What do you think about churches?
I have had good success with members offering their churches. You have to have somebody that's a member of the church most of the time. That's your first thing. So find somebody that belongs to a sizable church that says, "Oh yeah, we use it for different things," and let them be your liaison, check for availability and so forth. But they've worked out great. I know Amanda's used them for TLIs, and I also have used them for TLIs realize in the Panhandle as well. You have to work around the schedule. Churches are getting busier and busier, but sometimes you are really, especially if you're going to do it on a weeknight or an evening on the weekend, Saturday versus a Sunday, you might have some time available. So I think churches are a great option.
There any
The
problem about if I'm not a Christian going to or if I'm maybe if not of that religion, if that is that ever a problem?
I have not found any of the churches or religious or cultural centers requiring us to convert. They're usually very open to letting us experience their welcoming environment. And something to consider is many churches will offer their fellowship halls or even their worship areas because they're a little bit larger. They may also say donations are appreciated. So, if not free, they're usually whatever you can afford when it comes to a location rental fee.
Mhm. That's also true, if I can talk about this, of some of those smaller colleges, like the Kaiser colleges of the world. They often will allow you to come in and use their facility for training and contests and so forth. And then they'll ask for a donation, or they'll sometimes ask, this is another thing they like to do, for an opportunity. We use Kaiser here in Tallahassee several years in a row, and they just wanted their head administrator to come in and do a brief advertisement up front for Kaiser College. And we gave him we said he's going to welcome us. That's the way we phrased it. And then they got to do that, give their little commercial, and then we moved on with our training. So be a little flexible and move forward if you can. But they've been very welcoming. It's also a great in for a possible new club, some of those
Mhm.
vocational schools.
Absolutely.
All right. You're not seeing my chop here, but I'm an FSU grad, among others. So I'm sorry, Gator fans. I apologize. Don't put it against me. I have other places I have degrees from. But could I go to my local university? Would that be a good place to go, Amanda? I think you've had some experience with using your alumni places, your place you graduated from.
Yes, so many of you know that I'm responsible for finding the TLI locations where we have to have up to 200 people in one space plus breakout rooms. And sometimes our local colleges or universities will have rooms that are available that you can rent. And these are their banquet halls and their board rooms, and they're really big and fancy, and it's one of their income makers. So that's one option. But I decided to go out of the box and I went to the college that I graduated from at UNF. And I walked right up into the dean's office and I said, "Hi, I'm Amanda with Toastmasters, and I'm looking for a space that we can actually afford. We need it to fit this number of people and we need breakout rooms." And they said, "Well, do you have any faculty that you still remember?" And I rattled off all the faculty that I could remember. And they said, "He retired, he retired, he retired, he passed." And I was like, "Well, what about this one?" And they said, "Would work." And then it also turned out that as an alumni, if I go through the alumni liaison, that's also a connection. So we have the faculty sponsor who can get you the free space. There's sometimes the alumni liaison who could help you with the free space. Sometimes there's already a student organization that is using those classrooms and they can rent them for free as well. So I can't guarantee it will work at all university and colleges, but it is worth it. And it's different from going to the student service center. It's different from going to their banquet hall places. I walked into my dean's office and I asked for the use of the classrooms, and they said it was free.
And
So,
we have many people. We have many, I know some area directors and people who are actually on staff. We have a few doctorates out there. You don't know until you ask. You might find that, oh, I didn't know he taught there, or I didn't know he was a student. So go ahead and ask, hey, anybody a student at this or anybody an alumni? You may meet somebody and get that
Hmm.
little in for you.
the
Hmm.
same day that I had that conversation at the dean's office, I reached out to our finance manager, Akeem Bennett, and I said, "Akeem, do we know anybody who's an alumni or faculty in Tallahassee?" And he rattled off a whole bunch of people and he said, "Amanda, I work at one of these universities and we have space the one below me and I'm able to book these spaces. Let me go talk to them." So you might not even realize it until you ask.
Most people don't really think about meeting space availability at their workspace or their school because they're just going in, doing their job, going to their office and so forth. But just like Akeem, suddenly you start thinking, oh, wait, I have attended work sessions and breakout rooms and all kinds of meetings here, and maybe I can get it as well. So help everybody think creatively. One of my favorite locations, I know some people are not as positive about this, but there is a huge network of public libraries that is available, and you can go to a couple of sites. I just did a Google search for Florida libraries, and I found librarytechnology.org/libraries. That has a great list of every single county with phone numbers on it. And the other one is the public library homepages, which is dos.fl.gov/library-archives. Anyway, if you just do a search for Florida libraries, you're going to come up with a couple of these resource pages. They're by county. You can look at the county, then you can go in, and some of them have wonderful meeting places with AV connections, all kinds of stuff that you might need for technology, and they're free. 90% of them are free. You do have to schedule, and it's tough to do them on a regular weekly basis, like for meetings and things, because you can only do so many at a time. But they're wonderful resources for training and program events. So don't forget those libraries.
Now, if I'm an area director and I know everybody's coming, I have 150 people coming because it's me. Are our libraries really good for that?
Many
They
libraries
can
have
be.
Okay, go
really
ahead, Vicki.
large rooms. Many of them have very large rooms, and they can even have rooms that are combined. Amanda, have you had experience with libraries?
I've been trying to find spaces, and here in Jacksonville, we have one that has the space. But to get the space, you have to pay the rental fee.
Mm.
My best friend is actually a manager at one of our local libraries in Jacksonville, and she shared with me an experience she had because I asked, and I was really hoping to find not the expensive space. And she said, "Yeah, we have rooms that can hold 100. But if you want chairs, you need to let us know because that's a different setup. That's different capacity if you want chairs and tables and things." So when you're looking at the local libraries, make sure you ask them if that's 100 people seated or 100 people standing.
Now, in terms of, I'm only going to speak for Leon County. All I need is my library card. So certain counties I can reserve anything on Leon County. I just have to have my library card. So if you haven't
Hmm.
updated your library card, it may be a good time anyways. Free books. Sorry, I'm a book geek, so libraries are a great asset anyways. Just a little
To
side comment.
to that point, Sue, when we use the public libraries, remember the most important word on that is public. So we're not able to restrict who comes in and out. Have some guest packets available for strangers who walk in.
Hmm.
Let them know the
Hmm.
beauty of Toastmasters. And I forgot to mention this. When I was talking to the dean's office, they pointed out that it's, of course, free if the students have the option to join. I don't know many students who want to visit at Saturday at 8 a.m. But oh gosh darn, if we end up with some new members out of this experience, I don't see a problem with that. So keep in mind the more affordable free places may also mean the public can join.
And at
Hmm.
the end, we're going to talk about if we're allowed to charge. So we've been talking about charging and everything. So I want to come back to that one in case you have that little question in your head. What are some other places? Maybe a Chamber of Commerce or a I know we're talking public, but what other public locations? Vicky.
We do have a good sized senior center, and we do also have a Chamber of Commerce. In fact, sometimes Toastmasters is a member of the Chamber of Commerce in a few counties. When we get a dedicated member who's willing to represent Toastmasters at the chamber, the district has paid for membership to the chamber. Therefore, as a member, we get to go in and have meetings in their spaces. That's a really great resource. I know we have that in Palm Bay, I believe, and
Yes.
Citrus, maybe. And the other thing is community centers. I I love community centers, and we're actually getting ready to have an event in November at a community center that I found online, searching around because everybody was busy. The libraries had voting, all kinds of stuff going on for the meeting and the event we had. And they're beautiful locations. Many of them are really promising locations. Sometimes have a fee. And that's something that you're going to need to think about. But they'll give you a fee. Do not forget that Toastmasters is a not-for-profit organization. We can provide all of the forms that you need if you don't have them already, that you can take in that show that we are not-for-profit, so you don't have to get charged taxes and so forth, and you maybe get a discounted rate. And also, we have the insurance forms that are usually required for any meeting place that we can get from Toastmasters International so that they're covered for liability and that kind of thing. Those are the things most locations want.
Amanda, any other public locations that you can think of?
I I feel like we mentioned the senior center, and I think that would be a really neat idea. It is one that I remember going in as a child, and we would go sing to the old people. And I feel really bad saying it that way now, but that's what I remember as a child. And I feel like this would be another one of those opportunities for us to share the beauty that Toastmasters is and bringing entertainment in to a new area. But they may also have a bingo hall or something similar where they're willing to accept a small donation or they have a rental fee or something like that. And I love the idea of it, honestly, just blending the communities. When we're talking about Chamber of Commerce, I remembered that Toastmasters has a connection to the Rotary Alliance, and that may be a resource if you know a Rotarian, see what kind of spaces they have available. And then one more random one comes to mind because I know we have some clubs that meet at restaurants.
Mhm.
I don't know how practical this one would be considering the space and such that we would need for a contest, but if you've already got a connection, it's worth asking the
Mhm.
club to ask whoever is allowing them to use the space.
One thing we did a few years, and I don't know that it's possible anymore, but I got this brainstorm because there was a restaurant locally that opened at 4 o'clock for dinner. And it was a very casual, so it wasn't expensive. And I approached the owner and said, "Hey, would you ever consider having lunch?" And they gave us a flat price for lunch so people could come in and buy lunch. It was a little buffet lunch at a little Greek restaurant, and we were able to use the entire restaurant for our contest. We did that 2 years in a row. Now, find small locations. I think those really work well. We even have an ice cream shop here that has a meeting room on the side. I don't know about you guys, but I find now when I go into places, I'm looking all around going, oh, what's that room over there? What's that space over there? How do you get that space? And so forth. So don't be afraid to ask as you're working or wandering on your own journeys and travels as well.
My
Is
husband
there
has gotten
anything
used to it.
when we look for, I'm sorry, anything when we look for a location, there's things that other than we talked about space, is there something we also should be considering?
I feel like we need to remember we want 50, 60, 100 people in this one space. But when it comes to contests, we also need a breakout room that our evaluator contestants can go to, that our table topics contestants can go to, that our ballot counters and chief judge can go to. We need a space that is not within simple listening distance
Mhm.
and to make sure that that's available.
Thank you, because I have one club that we do have one meeting room, but when the person needs to go outside, they have to either go stand out by the vehicle, which is okay for a club, but not ideal for an area or a division contest. Now, in terms of going back to a question I asked before, can we charge admission for these?
Absolutely. It's absolutely possible to charge admission, and it's really nice to make an event. We're back in person, specifically at the division level. I feel kind of strongly that I like all of my division contestants to start getting ready for what they might experience at the district level should they advance. And in order to do that, you have to sort of create the atmosphere and the venue for that experience. So don't hesitate to look at those places you might have to rent And usually they come with a meal. Most of the time, they'll give you meeting space if you buy food, and you can just let them know what your budget is. They can accommodate that. You come in, you can decorate, and then you charge by the head. You cannot charge contestants for competing in the contest. That's the one thing. Now, you can charge them for the meal, but they have to be allowed to come in and compete without paying if they so desire. But other than that, I've never had a problem getting our local members to come in and participate and pay, and $15 for dinner, or if it was a lunch, somewhere around the same. Sometimes I use the space and cater the food in. Get Sonny's barbecue, bring the food in, and we put a table out. That way we have lower food costs, but everybody is still paying and they're getting a little something. Or we have just desserts and snacks, something like that. So you can charge, and you can just flat out charge if you want $5 a head to cover it. The other way that you can get your money is to ask all of the clubs that are able to contribute. Club treasuries are supposed to help support the business of the division and the area. So those clubs, I know I have one club that's very strong, and we always contribute a lot more money than a club that has no treasury. They may not be able to contribute anything, but we help. We give them money so that they can buy snacks and drinks or water, that sort of thing. So don't hesitate to ask the clubs to each contribute either items or money to help cover the cost of the venue.
All right.
I
I know
admit
we
I
want to break
love
this up.
a
Sorry, go ahead, Amanda. I'm
potluck.
sorry.
I admit that I love a potluck. So, hey, bring something. And Vicky, as you were talking, I had an aha moment. Didn't even occur to me until just now. Hotels have meeting spaces that are plenty big enough. Many will allow you to come in and cater your own food, public subs, sunnies, whatever. And just as many will require that you pay for their food. So consider the hotels that are near you as well.
I think the key to that, Amanda, is that the bigger hotels where they have like conference facilities or bigger rooms are usually going to charge a lot more for their food. But it may, remember, you're raising the level of your competition when you're starting to charge. Everybody ups their game and everybody provides a much better program a lot of times. But the other thing is look for hotels, some of those Hampton Inns and those kind of things have a big enough meeting space, and they may charge. You may charge you a couple $100s to use that space, but after that, that's all you've got to do. There are many other groups, churches, and other organizations that on a regular basis use those meeting rooms for their particular meetings. So look for those.
All right, now we don't want to keep this for long. Is there something, Amanda, you had your aha moment. Is there any aha moments that you would like that you're thinking, oh, I wish I had thought of that, or I hadn't thought of that? I'll bring these in case we do forget anything. We'll bring it up in the area and division contest training that I'm going to be doing in a little while. But Vicky, anything you think of right now?
I think that the most important thing is not to do the work yourself. Work together as a division for all of your area contests and for your division contests. Get other people from the clubs to come and help, and divide it up and be specific. Don't just say, hey, I need help. Come and say, oh, Vicky, I would really love if you could come and help me with decorations. Or would you mind helping as an official that you serving in this role? Be specific. People are much more inclined to say, oh, yeah, I can do that if they know what you want. So make it a group effort and make it fun. And don't take too much time meandering around. Have a plan, go in, get it planned, and get it done so that everybody can enjoy the contest and have a good time.
Amanda, to close out?
To close out, I'm going to say look into these places now. We're looking at November, December, January, and area contests are January, February. So now is the time to look for that space, to get it locked in. Libraries usually only let you go 3 months out. That's why I'm counting the months. So find that space, have those discussions, reach out to those club officers, send messages to all of those members. Do it now. Don't pull an Amanda and wait 2 months. Get it done now so you can get that space. And then let us know where you're going to be so that we can come and visit.
And we
And
want to
we
put
can
it on
help
the
you
website.
advertise. Yeah, help you advertise. Exactly, Sue.
And we do plan to put everything on the website. So if you're ever curious or you happen to be on a weekend, oh, I want to attend an area or division contest. Go out there, find out. You might be pulled in to be a judge, by the way, but hey, that's what we're here for. But this is something we'll talk about this at the training. This is something areas you're going to be a little overwhelmed. Area division directors, you might be overwhelmed on, but you have it. You have myself, you have Amanda as your resources. Don't go it alone. If you're having problems, please feel free to reach out to me. I don't want you freaking out. This is something that we can handle.
Can I also say that don't forget to use things like advertise on, say, Groupon, for example. There's something very enticing about saying discount tickets available for the Toastmasters International Speech Contest. I will tell you that I have had several real life experiences looking for things with me and my granddaughters to do. They're older and go out. And one time I went, oh, look, Tallahassee Ballet tickets. And I got them for $5 each. I was so excited because they had all been a dance. And so we got it and we went that night, and it was one of those regular dance school recitals, from everything to 3-year-olds all the way. But that ad just sucked me right. We had a good time. It was fun and it was for a good cause. And obviously it didn't cost much, but you can get a lot of traction by using your social media, Groupons, advertising, advertise those contests to the public because people will want to come.
That is
Well,
a
thank
fun
you.
idea.
All right. Well, everybody, I appreciate it. I want to have everybody, and again, reach out or we're going to have an amazing, I know it. I already see what's coming. The area contests are going to be amazing. The division contests and the district. Wow. It is every year and it will be again this year. So thank you for listening to us. And again, reach out if you have any questions.
Thank you,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.